The International Maritime Organization, IMO, a specialized United Nations agency responsible for regulating shipping safety, security, and environmental protection, has established a wide range of international maritime conventions to promote safe and sustainable maritime operations. These conventions are legally binding agreements that set standardized rules for ship safety, pollution prevention, crew training, and liability, and countries that ratify them commit to enforcing the provisions through national legislation, thereby creating a uniform global framework for maritime activities. Malaysia has demonstrated strong commitment to international maritime governance by ratifying 31 out of 69 major international maritime conventions, including 30 under the International Maritime Organization, IMO, and 1 under the International Labour Organization, ILO. This ratification reflects the country's ongoing support for the development, implementation, and enforcement of international standards that safeguard maritime safety, security, environmental protection, and seafarers' welfare. One key instrument is the Protocol of 1997 amending MARPOL 7378, which introduced Annex 6 on the prevention of air pollution from ships. Under this framework, ships are required to hold an International Air Pollution Prevention IAPP certificate. MARPOL Annex 6 entered into force internationally on May 19, 2005. Article 15 of MARPOL sets out the legal requirements for the entry into force of the Convention and its optional annexes. The Convention enters into force 12 months after at least 15 states, representing not less than 50% of the gross tonnage of the world's merchant shipping, have become parties. The same requirement applies to an optional annex, which enters into force 12 months after these conditions are satisfied in relation to that annex. For states ratifying after entry into force, the convention or annex becomes effective 3 months after the deposit of the relevant instrument. Malaysia deposited its instrument of ratification for MARPOL Annex 6 on September 27, 2010. Accordingly, MARPOL Annex 6 entered into force for Malaysia on December 27, 2010. As at March 31, 2026, MARPOL Annex 6 had achieved wide international acceptance, with 111 contracting states representing approximately 97.1% of the world's merchant shipping tonnage. Malaysia's ratification of MARPOL Annex 6 confirms its commitment to the global effort to reduce air pollution from ships and to align its maritime regulatory framework with internationally accepted environmental standards. Maritime air emissions are primarily categorized into sulfur oxides, SOx, nitrogen oxides, NOx, ozone-depleting substances, ODS, and volatile organic compounds, VOCs, each posing distinct environmental and regulatory challenges. SOx are produced mainly from the combustion of high-sulfur fuel oils and contribute to acid rain and air pollution, particularly near coastlines and ports. NOx is generated by marine diesel engines, contributing to smog formation, acidification, and health impacts. ODS, such as CFCs and halons, can harm the ozone layer, while VOCs primarily arise from tanker operations and cargo handling in designated ports and terminals. The International Maritime Organization, IMO MARPOL Convention, through Annex 6, establishes global requirements to control these emissions. This includes the use of IMO-approved incinerators, vapor emission control systems for VOCs, and the implementation of a Ship Energy Efficiency Management Plan, SEAMP. At the center of this framework is the International Air Pollution Prevention, IAPP, certificate, which is mandatory for ships of 400 gross tonnage, GT, and above engaged on international voyages. Non-compliance may result in port state control, PSC detention, fines, denial of port entry, or other enforcement actions by the flag state. Under MARPOL Annex 6, Regulation 2, vessels are classified as new ships and existing ships. A new ship is one for which the building contract was placed on or after January 1, 2013, the keel was laid on or after July 1, 2013, or the ship was delivered on or after July 1, 2015, while existing ships are those that do not fall within this definition. This classification is important because it directly determines the emission limits, surveys, and certifications a vessel must meet to comply with international standards. To comply with international requirements, ships must follow MARPOL Annex 6, legally established under the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, MARPOL 7378. Specifically, the regulations set detailed limits and requirements for each type of emission and control system. Regulation 14 limits sulfur content in fuel to 0.5% m/m worldwide and 0.1% m/m within emission control areas, ECAs, supported by bunker delivery notes and fuel changeover logs under Regulation 18. Regulation 13 under MARPOL Annex 6 establishes NOx emission tiers for marine engines. Tier 1 applies to ships built before January 1, 2000, certified under the 1997 NOx Technical Code. Tier 2 covers ships built between January 1, 2000 and December 31, 2010, following the 2008 NOx Technical Code. Tier 3 applies only in emission control areas, ECAs ships built on or after January 1, 2016 operating in the North American and Caribbean ECAs, and ships built on or after January 1, 2021 in the Baltic and North Sea ECAs. Outside ECAs, Tier 2 limits remain in effect. All engines must hold valid Engine International Air Pollution Prevention (IAPP) certificates and approved technical files to demonstrate compliance. Regulation 17 prohibits the use and discharge of ODS, with ships required to maintain a detailed ODS record book documenting all activities. Shipboard incinerators must be IMO approved under Regulation 16, and the incineration of prohibited materials such as plastics, sludge, or chemical residues is strictly forbidden. Regulation 15 governs VOC emissions from tankers in designated ports and terminals, mandating installation of vapor emission control systems approved by the Flag Administration, with enforcement requiring 6 months advance notification to the IMO, including tanker size, cargo type, and effective date. In addition, energy efficiency measures under Chapter 4 of Annex 6 require all ships to implement a Ship Energy Efficiency Management Plan, SEMP, while vessels greater than or equal to 5,000 GT must comply with the Carbon Intensity Indicator, CII, to monitor and improve fuel efficiency. To maintain compliance, vessels undergo statutory surveys under MARPOL Annex 6, including an initial survey prior to IAPP certificate issuance, an intermediate survey within 3 years, and a renewal survey every 5 years. These surveys assess compliance with SOx and NOx emission standards, ODS management, VOC control, incinerator operation, and energy efficiency obligations, including SEEMP, the IMO Data Collection System, DCS, and CII for ships greater than or equal to 5,000 GT. For ships constructed before May 19, 2005, certificates must be issued by the first scheduled dry docking after May 19, 2005, but no later than May 19, 2008. In Malaysia, MARPOL Annex 6 is enforced through the Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1952, specifically under Part VA on pollution from ships. This part defines the scope of vessels subject to regulation, establishes key definitions for pollution control, and empowers the Director of Marine to issue notices, conduct inspections, and enforce compliance. Sections 306B to 306J cover the application of the law, the powers of the Director, service of notices, and reporting obligations for maritime casualties, providing the statutory foundation for implementing MARPOL requirements, including air pollution standards. Malaysian Shipping Notice, MSN 24/2011 ensures that all Malaysian-flagged ships carry a valid IAPP certificate, maintain BDNs and fuel changeover logs, and undergo surveys conducted by the Marine Department or delegated recognized organizations, ROs, such as the Korean Register, KR, following the Harmonized System of Survey and Certification, HSSC. Non-compliance may result in fines, detention, or revocation of certification, with the Director of Marine authorized to take corrective action against violations or deficiencies. For the application on UUM Boleh, the vessel is a Malaysian-flagged oil tanker, registered in Penang, with its keel laid on March 7, 2005 and a gross tonnage of 28,927 GT, well above the 400 GT threshold. It is assumed to operate on international voyages with a crew of 35, including the captain, and must therefore comply with MARPOL Annex 6 and carry a valid International Air Pollution Prevention (IAPP) certificate. Under Regulation 6 of MARPOL Annex 6, ships of 400 GT and above visiting ports or offshore terminals under other MARPOL parties must hold an IAPP certificate. Since IAPP-YS exceeds 28,000 GT and operates internationally, this requirement applies. The certificate ensures compliance with air pollution standards, including NOx and SOx limits, fuel oil sulfur content control, prohibition of ozone-depleting substances, approved shipboard incinerator operation, and energy efficiency via the SEEMP. The keel date determines the applicable NOx emission tier. IAPP-YS installed marine diesel engines must meet the technical code requirements supported by valid IAPP certificates and approved technical files. The vessel must first undergo an initial survey for certificate issuance and later intermediate and renewal surveys to maintain compliance with fuel oil, NOx, ODS, incinerator, and energy efficiency standards. Being above 400 GT, IAPP-YS must carry a SEEMP, and as it exceeds 5,000 GT, it is subject to the IMO Fuel Oil Consumption Data Collection System, DCS, and the Carbon Intensity Indicator, CII framework, unless exempted. These requirements support MARPOL Annex VI's objective to reduce air pollution and enhance energy efficiency in international shipping. Overall, IAPP-YS Malaysian flag, international voyage status, and 28,927 GT tonnage make compliance with MARPOL Annex 6 and maintaining a valid IAPP certificate mandatory. Non-compliance may result in detention, fines, deficiency notices, or actions affecting the certificate's validity.
Thank you for watching. We hope this has provided a clear understanding of the IAPP certification process and the obligations of vessels such as IAPP-YS.